Good evening and happy Friday to all of my many friends, also to my many enemies. Once again, this is your friend, brother, and humble servant, Roosevelt, coming back at you with another power-packed episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning into the program on this Friday. And if you're not yet a subscriber to Roosevelt Sounds Off, please go down and hit the subscribe button along with the bell icon. That way you'll be notified anytime I drop a brand new video right here on YouTube. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful work week and a wonderful work week indeed. Happy Friday evening, and most of all, welcome to the weekend. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am here before you today because I realize and I know that it has been a long time since I got a chance to do a video, because I had many supporters and viewers of mine say, Roosevelt, man, where have you been? We miss you. Where have you been at? I guess that, Roosevelt has been trying to treat himself very good and just taking some time, I guess, just to relax. And plus, I did spend almost a month with my parents in Minnesota, enjoyed the friendship and the fellowship with the family. So now I'm back, and I know I'm a whole lot backed up in news. So I want to jump into this as to what is going on and with the role of our government. Now, if many of you all haven't been buried under a rock for the last couple of weeks, you notice that the South, or the Southeast, dealing with the states of Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, have been dealing with Hurricane Helene, and then a couple of days ago, Florida had to deal with the devastation of Hurricane Milton. And I would have to say that these are tragedies indeed. And it seems like in this country, or pretty much in this world, weatherways, no matter where you go, you always got to deal with your crap. What I mean by that is, it seems like no place weather-wise is ever perfect. I mean, here in the Chicago area, it's just too cold. We get far too much mini snow. In the West, like in California, you have earthquakes, or sometimes you have a whole lot of rain, and then you can have mudslides, and then there are fires. If you go down to places like Florida, or certain places in Georgia, or even Louisiana or Mississippi, you have hurricanes. I mean, it's just no happy medium, seem like. And I don't know, maybe that's one question I'll have to ask God on the day I stand before Him. God, why did you have to create cold weather, hurricanes, typhoons, and just everything? How come no place could just be completely just like perfect? But unfortunately, I guess this is what we're living in, so I guess at this point, it is what it is. So this is how we're living. So I guess it's something that we just got to deal with. So people in Florida had to deal with Hurricane Milton a couple of days ago. And what I am not talking about, I might be talking a little bit about the weather and its effect and the devastation and destruction that it has brought to places like Florida and the Carolinas and to Georgia. But what I want to deal with on this evening's video is the response from the government. Because Kamala Harris got up about a week ago, I guess in a press conference, trying to act presidential, which she completely acts very far from that, but yet she wants to be president, and I hope a whole lot of stupid, ignorant people don't vote for her so she can be president. Oh, Lord Jesus, that would just be a nightmare. Oh, Lord. Because this Democratic Party, let's face it, you all, this Democratic Party claims to be friends of people, and they claim to be the friends of black people. But I feel that this government has completely played in our faces, especially this Democratic government, which has turned out to be far much more communistic, much more than anything. Because when Kamala Harris got up and when she spoke about the victims of Hurricane Helene, she was talking about that every family was only going to get $750 and that kind of stuff right there. I mean, after your home has been destroyed, what can $750 do? They want to do this mess to American people. But yet, meanwhile, our same government gives illegal immigrants every darn thing that they want. But yet, our government, at this point, I would almost say it's mostly Democrat, because all of the people streaming over the border, they only came because the Biden administration, invited them. But at this point, Democrat or Republican, it's like the government is much more concerned about some pieces of filthy, illegal trash. More concerned about pieces of illegal trash that stream illegally. I have to say illegally, because anytime you don't go through the proper channels and you jump the line, so to speak, and you just come in through the border, you don't come in the right way. No, you already started off wrong. You already started off breaking the law. They came over illegally, and the government has rewarded them with thousands of dollars in cash payments, thousands of dollars in rental assistance, thousands of dollars in link and food stamp assistance, but yet only was talking about giving American families who suffer through this thing $750. What can the people of Florida and the Carolinas and Georgia do with $750? I don't know. That's not enough to rebuild their lives. But yet, when people like myself and other people talk about these particular incidents, you know, you got a whole lot of certain Democratic shills like Kamala Harris and Karine Jean-Pierre who want to say that we are pushing misinformation. Because the reason why our people can't get any help is because technically FEMA is broke. Because they have spent billions on these illegal migrants. So this is how come they can't help people. Our regular American people. So Karine Jean-Pierre said earlier this week, all of that was information that FEMA didn't spend billions on illegal migrants and FEMA is not broke. When she said herself that the main bulk of money to help migrants was coming from FEMA, but yet now wants to go and say that she never said it. So now they want to accuse people in the news, certain YouTube content creators, of spreading false or misinformation. So the first clip I'm going to play you is a congressman from North Carolina, and I guess that he's trying to combat or speak against this so-called misinformation. And he's doing an interview with CNN. And he was even talking about, in the end, even though certain things that certain people might be saying could be misinformation, he was talking about the slow response when it came down to FEMA. But yet you'll notice in the end something that CNN does all the time, anytime it's someone who has a different or opposing view. They were anxious to try to get him off the show and immediately close the segment. You're going to see this for yourself when he started talking about it was hard for people to get help and thus and so. You'll see it. So I'm about to roll this clip and I'm going to come right back and tell you exactly what I think. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for this clip.
Florida is bracing for the impact of a second monster storm nearly back to back. The wave of misinformation and disinformation from the last one has been rampant, hampering at times search and recovery efforts, and in many cases being pushed by President Biden's political opponents for their own political gain.
It's un-American. It really is. People are scared to death. People know their lives are at stake. All that they've worked for, all that they own, all that they value.
My source tonight, a Republican congressman from one of the areas hardest hit by Hurricane Helene, Representative Chuck Edwards of North Carolina, is taking it upon himself to try and debunk some of what's being pushed about what's happening in his state. He represents Western North Carolina. And thank you, Congressman, for being here, because I was struck by your post today. And you wrote that you don't think the FEMA response has been perfect, but you said the rumors are just so outrageous that they had to be addressed. And you shoot down that Helene was somehow engineered by the government, that you say FEMA's not stopping trucks and confiscating supplies. The FAA is not restricting airspace from recovery operations. FEMA's not diverting disaster funds to the border, to foreign aid. How much of this were you hearing from your constituents?
Well, the rumors certainly have been growing. Now, I'm not going to defend FEMA's honor. They've made a lot of mistakes. They continue to make a lot of mistakes in our recovery efforts here. But I was simply finding that all of the rumor, the falsities were more getting in the way of us trying to help the people here in Western North Carolina recover from Helene.
Well, and I think there's a world where you can not like something FEMA's done or criticize it or ask them to do better, but also not spread blatant conspiracies and lies that you had to debunk. How bad was it that you felt the need to put this information out there?
Well, I was getting a number of calls and emails and texts from folks that claimed to have firsthand accounts that they were turned away with supplies or not able to help. And every single one of those rabbit holes, I went down. I chased it, trying to find contact information, and I wasn't able to corroborate one single one of those stories. And again, there are a lot of things I'd like to see FEMA do differently, but they're not out guarding roads and turning people away and confiscating equipment and merchandise.
Given that so much of these myths and lies are being spread by members of your own party, does it anger you because it makes your life harder?
Well, our life here in Western North Carolina is difficult enough right now. And I can't speak to what anyone else's experience has been, any other member of Congress or political candidate. I can only say from my perspective of the boots on the ground here in Western North Carolina that I don't see the things happening that folks have been out there on social media saying have been happening.
Yeah, I just think, the first thing you fact checked was something I've even heard from people in Alabama, where I'm from. This idea of this storm being geoengineered by the government. I mean, that was essentially something that your colleague Marjorie Taylor Greene was arguing, saying they can control the weather, it can be manipulated. Obviously, Trump was saying the money was being used for undocumented immigrants. It's just, it's like nothing you've ever seen before.
Well, I think that we all agree there is money being used for undocumented immigrants that should not be happening. And as far as any other member of Congress, I'm not sure of their perspective. I'm only speaking from my perspective here in Western North Carolina and trying to help so many people that are affected by a storm recover. There was a great concern by a number of folks that if they were led to believe that FEMA was confiscating much needed goods and water, that folks might quit sending goods and water to Western North Carolina. And I certainly don't need that to be taking place right now.
And what I was saying earlier, with that, it was what was being spread was from Marjorie Taylor Greene. You shot that down, obviously, immediately. But quickly, you said that FEMA's not doing a perfect job. What specifically would you like to see them do differently?
Oh my goodness, that list gets pretty long. First of all, it took way too long for them to get here to Western North Carolina. We knew the storm was coming 2 days ahead. It still took more than 3 days. My calculation is it took about 80 hours before we saw the first representatives from FEMA. One county that I represent, it took 6 days for them to get there. We still don't have mobile trailers that folks have asked for, that my counties have asked for. We still don't have FEMA stations set up where folks can come in and
Yeah.
make applications and get answers. I had one constituent tell me they made an application. They were initially denied, and then they got 3 additional letters from FEMA and emails, all contradictive to one another.
Okay, Congressman.
This, yeah.
Well, and obviously we'll check in with you. We want to follow up with those things. I do want to thank you for your time tonight. I know you're very busy, Congressman. Chuck
Okay, and we are back, and that particular clip falls under the category of fair use. Now you see what CNN, which I call the crazy news network or communist news network, whatever you want to call it, did towards this man. Now, it seems like whenever he was just toting their particular party line and saying what they wanted him to say, he was cool. But as soon as he starts saying some other things, some other different things about like what FEMA's not doing and how people aren't getting some of this assistance that they say, they wanted to quickly end the segment. Because he's right. People are not getting the help that they said they're supposed to get. What's $750 going to do to rebuild people's lives? But yet they want to come and give these illegal immigrants everything. This is something they want to do. But yet anytime certain people talk about this stuff, the first thing that they always want to tout is misinformation. It's the same exact communistic playbook that they pulled on us back in 20 and 21 and 2022 when we were conquering COVID. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand the narrative of how a communist network or communist country actually works. If you take a country, first of all, like North Korea, for instance, if the government, or let's just say the North Korean government, says something, they could say something, let's just say, is whacked out or is crazy or is untrue, as the sky is purple. Now, you could look up all day long in the sky and notice that the sky is blue. But, you know, they'll say the sky is purple, and you're supposed to go along with whatever the government says, right or wrong. And anyone, even if it's something that is true that you discovered or whatever, if you go against the narrative of what the government has put out there, then they'll call whatever you said, whether it's, even though it's true, they'll call that misinformation. And also, in those communist countries, they also believe in something called the social credit system. We saw a little bit of a sample of that even during COVID. Because, let me take you back a couple of years. When the vaccines first came out, you had all these companies like Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme and McDonald's and what have you, offering people free food if they would show them a copy of their vaccine card. And then you have other states like New York who were giving people free marijuana for getting vaccinated. They called the program Joints for Jabs. Then you had another state that was giving people $50 to $100 for being vaccinated. And none of this has ever happened in the history of medicine or vaccination except for now. That's a little bit of what you call the social credit program. They have that over in places like North Korea and especially China, which is, of course, a communist country. How it all works is, when it comes down to the social credit system, that if you're a person, let's just say you're an obedient slave to the government, you obey everything that the government tells you to do. You know, you're a good little boy, you're a good little girl, you follow along, you tote the Communist Party line. then every single time you do something good to tote the Communist Party line, then that earns you certain points. And these points can dictate literally your whole life. These points can dictate whether, or where you go to school at, what kind of job you might be allowed to hold, where you might live. And let's just say if you're a little bit like me, a little bit of a bad boy, because sometimes I consider myself to be a rebellious black slave. Hallelujah. If you go against the so-called Communist Party line, then points are taken off of your score, and people with a lower social credit score can't go to certain schools, can't get hired at certain jobs. You can never live in certain places, like you might not be able to live in the capital or this and that. So it dictates your whole life. So we saw a little bit of that in this country during that time of the COVID vaccination, because people who went to McDonald's or Krispy Kremes or Dunkin' Donuts and what have you were rewarded with free donuts and free shakes and free fries and that kind of stuff. They were rewarded with that. But of course, if you didn't get the vaccine or have a copy of your vaccine card, you didn't get anything. So it was evidence of the social credit system. So basically, to boil it all down, the social credit system is a system based upon, or, you being rewarded or punished based upon what you do and don't do and what you say and don't say. People who were speaking out against the vaccine, and even if they weren't speaking out against the vaccine, even if they just had a few questions, were being condemned, they were being ridiculed, people's whole channels off of YouTube were being taken down, they were criticized. Golly, even during that time, even yours truly almost had my channel taken down for just speaking my opinion, because this is something that they don't want you to do in a communist country. Is they want to pretty much deny critical thinking, or for you to have your own mind and your own thought. This is why in a place like North Korea, you cannot even have internet there. There is no internet there, and the little bit of internet that there is, and little bit of TV and radio that there is controlled by the government. So it's only 4 TV stations that you can watch in North Korea, and those stations are monitored and controlled by the government, and everyone is given some kind of government radio. And by law, they said you have to have this government radio in your home. And they want you to play this government radio 24/7. Because only thing that you hear on this so-called government radio is just pretty much the North Korean, the communist manifesto and the communist rhetoric. And even at night, they still want you to play it, but they say you can turn it down when you get ready to go to sleep, but you can never turn it off. This is why even in communist countries, they deny even having religion, because religion helps to give you free thought. That you can believe in something or someone who is great, much more bigger than you and I. But in places like Cambodia, in North Korea, in China, they say the government is your God. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're probably wondering, how come I'm bringing all of this up? This is because our government, under the Democratic Party, has just become just as communistic as North Korea, China, Cuba, or Cambodia. And if we get Kamala Harris in office, as bad as we think that it is now, It's going to be even worse because she has promised to continue Joe Biden's destructive policies against our country. These people in the Democratic Party want to have communistic ideals and communistic views, but yet America is supposed to be a country that is capitalistic, that's completely the opposite of communism, that's supposed to be against communism, but the Democratic Party wants to bring in more communistic ideas. Because even in the Democratic Party, they are against religion. Kamala Harris played in a clip, and maybe I'm going to do a whole video before Election Day about all the crimes of Kamala Harris, where she said that we should not be saying Merry Christmas to each other. How dare you say Merry Christmas to someone? Because the Democratic Party is anti-Christ, anti-God, anti-creation. They want to push LGBT rights. And most of all, they want to be against American citizens by promoting and only doing for illegal immigrants. This is something that they want to do. So, that's why they would call this program misinformation. This is why they want to say this. Because I am talking and speaking against the evil democratic communistic agenda. So this is something that they want to do, is try to shut all of us up. But no, they cannot shut me up. Because no, what I'm saying and what many other people on the internet are saying, no, it's not information. People in Florida and the Carolinas, they're not getting the help that they deserve. During this time and during the tragedies of Hurricane Helene and the other day, the Hurricane Milton. And from what I'm hearing, allegedly, there's supposed to be another hurricane probably hitting that same area next week. These people are not getting help, but yet they're giving illegal migrants everything. And people are angry, people are frustrated. I got proof. The next clip I'm going to play you is a clip of the Breakfast Club, who are called the Breakfast Schlubs, because people like Charlemagne the God and Angela Yee and DJ Envy, these are all Democratic shills that were pretty much complicit in spreading this evil Democratic policy, bringing Joe Biden on their show back in 2020, and he's talking about, well, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And Charlemagne the God signing on to the crap. But yesterday, or the day before, there was a young man who called the show who lives in Tampa. Right before Hurricane Milton was hitting. And you should hear the fear and sadness in this young man's voice. About how, you're going to hear him, how he feels like they are getting ready to die down there. How they're not getting help. The government, whether it be Democrat or Republican, he said the same thing I said at the beginning of this production. That the government is playing in our faces. Because the government is not doing for American people. And before I go to this clip, if anybody likes what you're hearing on this evening, please do me a favor, go down and hit that like button for me. Get my likes up. This is valuable information. I think this gentleman's name is Tone. And he's calling from Tampa. And he's talking about how it really is down there. How they're not getting help. How this man almost breaks down and cries. But yet the people on the Breakfast Club don't hardly respond. The only thing you're going to hear Charlemagne the God or somebody else say when he talks about what he's going through is just, oh, you're going to hear it. Oh, damn. And then in the end, gonna say, oh, we praying for you, brother. They ain't praying for nobody. Let me stop. I want to play this clip because I don't want to take them out of context or anything. I want you all to hear it for yourself. So stay tuned for this clip of the Breakfast Club, and we are going to come right back.
Yo, man, this Tone from Tampa, man. Tone from Tampa. What's up, brother? How was everything out there?
It's a little light rain right now, heavy wind, but I'm gonna just keep it a buck, man. This ain't where it's at, man.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna say y'all right in the middle of it. The eye's hitting Tampa from what the map shows right now.
Man, bro, my heart, bro, is in my ass, bro. I'm scared, man. And then we still recovering from Helene. And it's like, bro, I want to get this off my chest, bro. This government is playing in our faces, man. It don't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. They playing in our faces, bro. You get Ukrainians come over here, they get what they want. You get immigrants come over here, they get what they want. And you got people being denied these FEMA applications that you talking about the other day, Charlamagne.
Mm-hmm.
People being denied, bro. But you getting these migrants coming over here, $10,000 food stamps, bro. Your goddamn $5,000 cash stipends, man. This shit hurting, bro. We finna get ready to damn near die, bro. A lot of people couldn't afford to evacuate. And this government planning our face, man.
Damn.
I feel for you, bro.
I totally understand, my brother.
Absolutely.
It don't matter what they is, Democrat, Republican, they all treason, man. They all about money, bro. None of these people care about American people, bro. This hurt, bro. This hurt, bro. People wake up every day just want to live their life, bro. And you got these greedy snakes, man. You got these greedy snakes call themselves government service people, bro. And they don't give a damn, bro. They don't give a damn about the migrants coming over here. They using them too, man. It's right, man.
You're absolutely right, my
Damn, I
brother.
can't wait to come back, man.
No, you're right, brother.
To hear what he said you can't wait till God come back. He's absolutely 100% right. Because at some point, I don't know who else can help a lot of people other than the Most High.
Well, we're praying for you, brother.
Thank y'all, man.
Try to stay as safe as possible,
Yeah,
brother.
man.
And if you're in Tampa, man, if you're in Tampa, listen, y'all, Town and Country, West Tampa, Apollo Beach, Gibson, Davis Island, St. Pete, Clearwater, man, y'all get out the way, man. Get out the way. Go north, man. I don't care if you got to go to a high school, elementary, whatever, man. Get out the way, please.
All right,
Y'all be blessed, man.
Yeah, do what you can to stay safe, brother. And you know, when it's all said and done, we're going to see what we can do to help relief down there, man.
Absolutely.
But I want people to hear
Absolutely.
exactly how people on the ground feel.
Yeah, that got me almost crying.
That's everyday working class
But that's how he
people
feels.
on the ground. You can't lie to them.
But that's how he feels. And that's what people have been saying for the longest.
It
Like
just
they
sounds
feel
like he's
away.
preparing to possibly not make it through
That
the
man don't
storm.
want to hear about no statistics. He don't want to hear about no data. He don't want to hear about none of that. He is on the ground, 10 toes down, real life experience. That's
right.
what politicians don't want you to see. Those are the people politicians not talking to.
Now, those are the people that they need to talk to. And you see how he feels. He feels like, look, I live here. I work here. I pay my taxes here, and there is no help.
And he don't care about no Democrat. He don't care about no Republican. He don't care about no Trump. He don't care about no Vice President Kamala Harris. All he cares about is surviving.
Him and his family.
Who's going to help him survive?
That's right.
And as of
Hey, ladies
now,
and gentlemen,
nobody
that
has.
particular clip falls under the category of fair use. Now, you heard it. You heard it. Because one thing I could say is you don't always have to pay attention to me. When you hear that clip, or when you just listen to it, I mean, after that, I think that we can almost get ready to close the show out. Because after that, I really don't even have to say much. Because that young man on the Breakfast Club, I would have to definitely say, said it all. This government, who's supposed to be taking care of the American people, is playing in our faces. They're doing everything for everyone else. Sending billions to Israel. Sending billions to Lebanon. Sending billions to Ukraine. And just in case you all wanted to know, no, Roosevelt does not stand with Ukraine. Giving all this money to illegal immigrants, giving them thousands of dollars in aid in SNAP benefits. And some of us who are American citizens, especially with the economy these days, and grocery prices that have gotten higher, can't hardly even afford food. But yet, they want to give some piece of trash that just strolled in illegally, across the border, everything. This should not be happening in a free country like the United States of America. The United States of America needs to deal with its own people first. Because for all of my viewers who are married, and you got a husband and wife and a couple of kids, what the heck would it look like if a man, a grown man, would leave his wife and his kids and go down the street and start taking care of another woman and her kids? No, you take care of home first. The expression, it's a certain expression out there, and I think the United States government has pretty much forgotten about it, where it says that charity begins at home and then it spreads abroad. I don't care if you have one homeless person, let's just say in every state. The country should not be doing anything for anyone until everyone is taken care of. It should be no one, absolutely no one, in this country, which is supposed to be the best and most richest country in the world. No one should ever be homeless. The other day, here in Chicago, there was an altercation in a J&J Fish where it was two homeless men. I guess they got into an argument with the owner of J&J Fish, or someone who worked there who was an Arab guy. Perhaps I might do a video on it. Perhaps I might not. But these are two older homeless men in their 50s, a little bit older than me. And this particular Arab worker pulls out a gun, and they're not even fighting him. And he shoots the both of them. Man, my whole thing is, if these two men are homeless here in the city of Chicago, where the heck are their family? How come these two men, just like the rest of our homeless population, is not being cared for by our government? I can tell you why. Only because the government is much more excited about helping Israel, about helping Ukraine, about helping Lebanon, about helping illegal migrants, much more than it cares about our own American people here in this land, on this soil, during this time. This is wrong. And if you put Kamala Harris in office, if some of you, and I'm talking to a whole lot of my black people out there, if a whole lot of black people if you're that dumb, if you're that stupid enough to put this woman in the office all because you think it's a black woman, but Kamala Harris isn't black at all. She's nothing but just a red dot Indian that just tries to pass as black, who don't give a crap about nobody but just her own self and pushing her own evil democratic communistic agenda. If a whole lot of you all are stupid enough to put her in the office, hey, we might as well just kiss our behinds goodbye, because it is all over. This country is dead if this woman gets in office. I think at this time now, it is just so bad, we all need to get on our knees and pray in the name, sincerely pray in the name of Jesus, that this woman does not get in the office. This evil witch, this Jezebel, does not get in the office. We need an end to these evil democratic policies that are not taking care of our people here in this country. So, with all of that being said, I think that's where I'm going to end this video. I think that we also, in closing, need to say a good, healthy, and wonderful prayer for all of our people who have been devastated by Hurricanes Helene and Milton, people in the state of Florida, people in Georgia, people in the Carolinas, that they will recover and they will be taken care of, and that they will be all right. Pray for our brothers and sisters in those states that they may be all right. So I think that is where I'm going to end. And if anybody liked this video, please do me a favor and give me a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. And please tune in next time for the next episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. And wait a minute. P.S. Before I go, before I leave, just one thought came to me. They talk about for this government aid that people in the Carolinas and this kind of stuff needed to apply for it. But how in the world can people apply for government aid or to even get this so-called magical $750 when there's no power, there's no cell service, no internet service? And why do they have to apply anyway? Because people who are illegal migrants didn't have to apply for anything. They just came over here, streamed over the border, and everything was just handed to them. I'm sitting back trying to wonder why. How stupid. So, like I said, I was going into my closing. If anybody liked this video, please do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. And please tune in next time for the next episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. And until the next week, till the next time, maybe not the next week, I don't know, could be in a couple of days, we get back together. Till the next time I do a video, until the next video, this has been your friend, brother, and humble servant Roosevelt, saying peace and blessings to all of you and your families.